Yeah, I'm going to write some Saturday. Where's she going?
Good morning.
Yeah. Sunny. Yes.
All right, great. Thanks everyone for coming out this morning. We know it is a big day, big week. I want to appreciate and give my love and all of my shining brightness to you. Thanks so much. My name is Tatiana Perkins. I am the Patient Advocacy Programs Coordinator at the Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Let's get us started with like one chant, okay? Before we have like a lineup of amazing speakers, let's get started. So, I want y'all to repeat. I want y'all to do this with me, okay? Yeah, I think you know it, right? When our democracy is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When our courts are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When our democracy is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When our courts are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
All right, thanks y'all. Feeling energized now? So I appreciate that so much. I am here because one, for morale and to get us all feeling good and moving and ready to take this on, because this is a fight. This is a personal fight for me. I'm coming here as my full self. I'm coming here as a Native woman, as a Black woman, as a queer woman, as a daughter, as a sister, and as a survivor. This fight is very personal for me, but also this fight is personal for all of us, and I definitely want to recognize that. There are people here today for a plethora of reasons, because there are so many things under attack right now with this Supreme Court nomination. So many people depend on the ACA. So many people depend on abortion services. And we have a Supreme Court nominee who has said that she does not believe in these things. So, with that, I want to take it over to Addie Stan from People for the American Way, who will be sharing.
Everything's so complicated.
Hello, all you beautiful fighters for truth and justice. Y'all look real good out there. My name is Adele Stan, and I run a project. Well, I don't know if I really run it because I got a great team. I run a project called Right Wing Watch at People for the American Way. But I'm not exactly here to talk to you about that today. I'm here to tell you that I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm a COVID survivor. I'm sure there might be one or two of you out there as well. And, you know, I never had to be hospitalized. I'm one of the lucky ones. But it was pretty nasty. But since then, I've become what they call a COVID long hauler, which is a very peculiar lasting effects of this disease in some of us. And I think we're going to find a lot more of us than we know about, because there are people you can bet who are dragging themselves to work. You know, frontline people dragging themselves to work who are suffering with this condition. Now, the president wants to put a Supreme Court justice on this highest court in the land who will likely take away the Affordable Care Act. And the Affordable Care Act, for people who may not know, is not simply about being able to buy your health insurance on the exchange. It's not simply about finding affordable health care within that framework. It's also a set of rules for all insurers. And one of those rules is you cannot penalize someone or refuse to cover them because they have a pre-existing condition. Do you know how many people are going to come out of this pandemic with pre-existing conditions? I mean, science hasn't even looked at what's going on with the long haulers yet, because it's too busy trying to figure out what this disease is and what it does for the people who are suffering most acutely. And I'm one of the lucky ones. I have a job. I have a job I can do from home. I have an understanding, I'm in an understanding workplace. I'm one of the lucky ones. And I don't pretend that part of my luck isn't etched in the color of my skin, because I have doctors who listen to me. And President Trump's about to put onto the court a justice who told Senator Cory Booker that she had never read. She could not cite one article she had ever read about justice and race. I mean, this is some pretty deep stuff. And for me, it's super duper personal, because I got this disease in the first week of March. In the last week of February, I attended, for my job, a conference called the Conservative Political Action Conference. And it was later revealed that people in attendance there had active COVID. Now, I'll never know for sure if that's where I got it, but you can rest assured that there's a pretty good chance. And what I saw on that stage, I saw the president himself say the virus was under control 3 weeks after he told Bob Woodward that it was deadly and that you could die from breathing it. I saw, who's the economic advisor? Larry Kudlow. Larry Kudlow said, the virus isn't going to do anything bad to our economy, not compared to that socialism those Democrats are selling. If only. I mean, it's just an alternate universe, and on, one after the other of the president's advisors, some of whom are now his former advisors, and came up on the stage and sold this message to us. And I came home, and a week later, bingo. So, all that is to say that, I am one of the lucky ones. I do not mean to be making light of that. I truly am. I don't know how many other people are dealing with what I'm dealing with, which is like, I fell down in my living room the other day because I was dizzy. I'm having cognitive difficulties with reading and writing, which is a little it's a little challenging for an editor and a writer. I'm having, I had a fever for more than 100 days. I'm still here, and I am getting better, but it's slow, and I have support. So this thing has real stakes. If we have 220,000 deaths right now, how many more people than that are living this way? And how many of them don't have the support I have? Probably most. So I want to thank you all for coming out today, and being there for all of the multitudes that you really do represent in shining a light on what this nomination means for America and the very contempt it shows for the people of the United States. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cedric Lawson, and I'm Field Director with the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. The Leadership Conference is a coalition of over 220 national organizations working across a number of civil and human rights, working to make America as good as its ideals. With Daily Kos, I am excited to share the over 3.24 million petition signatures from concerned individuals across the country, urging senators to oppose the Barrett nomination, and the countless people who called into Senate office this past month. I want to be clear with everyone that it wasn't just the Leadership Conference Coalition. It wasn't just civil and human rights organizations, environmental organizations, gun violence organizations, coalitions across our country converged in order to show our power in this moment, particularly before an election. This is a moment that we cannot forget. And make no mistake, we, the millions of people, know what's on the line. We know that access to health care is on the line. Reproductive rights are on the line. Reproductive freedoms are on the line. Voting rights, LGBTQ equality, immigrant justice, criminal justice, justice reform, disability rights, and so much more. We will not back down in this moment. Too much is at stake at this moment. Not until the court truly becomes our court. Senate Republicans, yes, they may rush through this nomination in a matter of days. We saw what happened this morning in the Senate Judiciary Committee. But together, this coalition, better put this movement, will continue fighting for a court that works for all of us. One that upholds our highest values and one that truly seeks to achieve equal justice under the law. And as a friendly heads up, these petitions today just now went to the Senate Majority Leader's office, Senator McConnell, in addition to senators from the states of Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Maine, North Carolina, and Utah. And across the country today and moving into the weekend prior to the vote, we will continue to amplify these petition numbers that are specific to each state. We know that the power here is a power that they have to pay attention to. We know that it's not over until it's over. So we will continue to escalate. We will continue to place pressure on senators to let them know that all of our issues are on the line and we are aware of what is at stake. Thank you.
This is a COVID-friendly house. All right. The people united will never be divided. 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 Thanks, y'all. Love to keep that energy up. So it is my honor to introduce Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut.
Thank you all. You are here bearing witness. You are here demanding justice. You are here demanding democracy.
That's right.
And let me tell you, what's happening in this building is not democracy. It is not what the American people want. And I am hearing from the people of Connecticut and all around the country how scared,
why did you show up and legitimize the hearings?
how scared and angry they are. Why don't you just let me finish and then you can talk.
Trump is stealing the election right now. Trump is stealing
I want to say to everyone who is here today,
and capitulated. Call out Diane.
we hear you.
Call out Diane.
You
Feinstein
are
for
the
saying
real
thank
people
you
who
to
will
Lindsey
be
Graham.
affected.
The Democrats collaborated. The Democrats collaborated. You collaborated with this process. You showed up and legitimized a fundamentally illegitimate process. Donald Trump is stealing the election. He's putting Amy Coney Barrett on there. And people need to come into the streets. We need to be in the streets. The Democrats will not stop a fascist America. It is up to the people to come into the streets. No more waiting. Go to the ballot box and vote against Trump, but be in the streets because there is a fascist coup going on right now. There is a fascist coup.
Thank you. So I agree. I agree we should vote. I agree that Americans should go to the ballot. and they are doing it right now. In fact, that is a reason why this process is undemocratic. It should not be done, literally, while Americans are voting, because they deserve a say in choosing the next justice. The next Senate and the next president should be the one choosing the next justice after November 3rd, after America votes, after the American people have their say. And I just want to repeat, just so everybody hears it more than once, America should be grateful to all of the groups, the advocates, the individuals who have stepped forward with such courage. I brought in that hearing room Connor Curran, who suffers from a horrific form of muscular dystrophy and who will go without the treatment he needs if the Affordable Care Act's protection for people with pre-existing conditions is decimated. And Amy Coney Barrett has passed the Trump test, the strong test, that she will overturn the ACA. She's passed the strong test that she would overturn Roe v. Wade and the ACA and fundamental rights relating to voting and workplace safety and gun violence prevention. Real people into that room included Tracy in Connecticut, who needed and wanted IVF treatment. And Amy Coney Barrett has aligned herself with a group that would eliminate women's control over their own bodies and criminalize IVF treatment. She has stated that the legacy of Roe v. Wade is barbaric. She has indicated in her writings that she would deny protection to people with pre-existing conditions. So Connor Curran would be knighted, and Tracy would be denied the treatment that she wants. Rights and real lives are at stake. You are not only bearing witness, you are telling America what's really important here, which is real lives. And my Republican colleagues don't want to face that truth. They are exercising a raw power play. They're doing it because they can. They have the votes today. But we need to make sure they don't have the votes when it goes to the floor, if we can, and we need to keep fighting. We are not done yet. We are not done yet. You are helping to save democracy. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Call people into the streets.
We have other people coming on stage. This is not your event. This is not your event. Please move. I'm going to go and ask Capitol Police for a meeting. No, you're not. You're planning to be loud during our event. He's a public servant. I was talking to him.
Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for being here today as we make one of our last stands against the sham of a confirmation. My name is Sonia Spoo, and I am a campaign director and the director of reproductive rights campaigns at Ultraviolet, a 1.2 million member strong feminist advocacy organization that works to change the political, social, and cultural needle for a feminist future. And for many reasons today, I am angry. I am angry that this illegitimate, impeached, sadistic, and corrupt president and his cowardly enablers in Congress, like Mitch McConnell and Senators Lindsey Graham, get to further taint the hollow, if complicated, halls of the Supreme Court. I'm gonna take this off, actually, if I can. The conservative project to claw back each and every single civil and human rights gain of the past 50 years is reaching its final crescendo in the confirmation of Judge Barrett, a guaranteed vote against women. Let me be very clear. This isn't us being hysterical. We are not hysterical. They like to accuse us of being hysterical, to gaslight us with their rhetoric. But let us be clear, these are stone cold facts. We don't need to keep asking Barrett questions to know where she stands. We know her record. We know that she finds a woman's or person's ability to decide if or when to become a parent or expand their family to be quote-unquote barbaric. We know that she has a limited imagination about how we form our families and is opposed to things like IVF, which is critical to millions having the families they want and are called to. We know she's opposed to students organizing on their campuses to have access to basic health care like birth control. We know she actively steals justice from survivors of sexual assault and abuse. We know that she thinks Justice Roberts erred in his decision to save the ACA and save healthcare for millions of people. We know that she thinks the N-word, isn't that bad and doesn't constitute a hostile work environment. We know that she believes that cops have the right to brutalize our black and brown bodies and that breathing is a privilege and not a God-given right. We know who Amy Coney Barrett is, just like we know who Donald Trump is.
Yeah, there you go.
The record is clear, and again, we are not being hysterical. So do not let our so-called elected officials in DC try to gaslight us. We know the truth. And we know we are powerful, which is why we are gathering here and across the country, which is why we are voting in the millions in the weeks before this election. Amy Coney Barrett is a fevered realization of the terrifying dreams of the far-right movement, who instead of embracing progress and justice, sneered and turned their backs on us, making a choice instead to lean into prejudice, to gin up hate and fear, and to stoke hate for their fellow Americans. Honestly, I pity them. I pity their limited imaginations, that they wallow in fear instead of embracing a brighter future for us all. They have worked for 50 years to balance the books of their power on the backs of women, especially black, brown, indigenous women. And they have their closers in Trump and Barrett. But let's be clear, Trump nor Barrett is not the first act. They are the third act in this deeply tragic play. Trump didn't originate racism or misogyny. Those two things are deeply embedded in the very cornerstone of our country since its founding, and affirmed even at times by the Supreme Court. The originalism held so dear by the likes of Barrett and Scalia and all those folks always saw justice as originating, first and foremost, in white power, not in collective justice. Let's not ignore our own history, the history of white women, especially, always being the most persuasive surrogates of white patriarchal power. It has been the might and fight of black, brown, and indigenous people and women especially who have ever put this country on the path toward resolving its debt towards its people and paying the note for freedom. The sad thing about the likes of Barrett is that instead of leaning into freedom and liberation with us, she attaches herself to this white male power because the people like her see power not as collective, but as hierarchical, and it doesn't matter who she kicks on her way up. I can't think of a more insulting pick for the seat of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Because let me make this very clear. We are not asking for women justice. We are asking for justice for women.
Yeah.
But I'm still filled with hope. No matter what the ultimate vote is here today or on Sunday or Monday, no matter if Barrett ends up on the court, no matter how much they try to usurp our power, the fact of the matter is we are powerful. We will work as they try to deny our rights, to fill the streets, to organize, to mobilize, and to take care of each other because we already do. COVID has ravaged our communities and our government has oftentimes abandoned us, but we've been able to look for our friends, our neighbors, our families to take care of us. We wait for hours in line because they may try to suppress us, but we refuse to let them stop us. There is so much on the line with this nomination and with this election, and I'm so proud of the work that has already happened. And so I stand here one more time as an advocate, as a black woman, as a campaigner, and as an American, and as an Arizonan, to ask my own senator, Senator Martha McSally, to for once in her pathetic life do the right thing and vote against a sham confirmation. But if she will not, We will remember come November 3rd and vote her out, and everyone who has taken part in this ridiculous sham of a confirmation and try to usurp our right to a democratic government. So thank you for the past 4 years of work. Thank you for the past work this election season. Thank you for your work on the SCOTUS fight. Thank you for the years and generations of work we are leaning into and learning from as we continue to fight for equality and justice. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you for your work.
Just 1 second. So, we have a leadership coming. I cannot control that they're going to raise my hand. Or the members don't come at all. And their event is canceled because you are here. Is that what you want? We're trying to have Democrats standing on the stage fighting with us.
They're not fighting. They're selling the people out. They are selling the people out.
But this is how we move them.
No, it's not. It's how they move you. Listen, can I tell you something? Can I tell you something?
Ruin our event here.
Listen, let me just tell you. I'm not playing this game. And I know that I fundamentally disagree with what you're understanding is how the fucking car is afterwards. I'm going to step to the side. You're doing your thing.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you.
Hijacking our event is not the way to do it.
No, actually, they're hijacking the lives of millions of women.
Uh-huh.
They are.
Okay, so you're
They
going to
showed
move
up.
after
They
her?
showed up.
Hey, Tatiana, let's get on stage and move some
right.
stuff here.
Hey,
How
y'all.
long are you going to be standing here for?
Hey ho! Hey ho! ACB has got to go! Hey ho! Hey ho! ACB has got to go! Hey ho! Hey ho! ACB has got to go! Hey ho! Hey ho! ACB has got to go! Hey ho! Hey ho! ACB has got to go! Hey ho! Hey ho! ACB has got to go! All right.
So all of them.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what
The
democracy
numbers will not
Show me what democracy looks like.
democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
The people united will never be divided. 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 All right, thanks y'all. Let's keep that energy up.
Good morning. My name is Jess Morales-Drichetto. I'm the Civic Engagement Director at the National Domestic Workers Alliance. And I bring with me the greetings and also hope of the 2.5 million domestic workers, the women who clean our houses, the women who make our food, the women who take care of our children, the women who take care of our elders. And in moments like these, when I'm angry, when I'm not sure, and when I know that I need to dig even deeper, I think of those women. And even though I'm on this stage, they're really on this stage. These are people who are the most vulnerable and most marginalized in our society, and every single day they provide care. The care that keeps our economy going, the care that helps raise our children, the care that keeps our elders safe. And in this moment, I'm thinking about all of these women, and I'm thinking about the ways in which they care for our families. And I'm thinking about the ways in which Amy Coney Barrett cares only for an ideology that is on its last gasp of air. In these moments, I wonder if I have it in me to keep going for 12 more days or 12 more years or 20 more years. And I do, because I believe, even in darkness, even in one of the worst times in our country's history, that there are extraordinary people. That there are people who are standing up every single day. That there are people who are coming out in a pandemic to participate in our democracy. And despite the fact that the Supreme Court has never been less of an example of our democracy than it is today, I know that we will win. I believe that we will win, and it probably won't happen today, and it may not happen next year, but I believe so deeply that it will happen in November, it will happen in December, it will happen the year after that, it will happen in 20 years, because we are winning. Our ideas, our people, our leaders, and more than anything, the millions of people who have voted and the millions of people who will vote. And more than that, the millions of people who will wake up every single day to make our democracy better, to make it actually be what we want, and to ensure that in this lifetime and in the next lifetime, our country lives up to its values, are what I'm thinking about today. So no matter what happens on the Supreme Court, no matter what title we have to address Amy Coney Barrett by, I believe deeply that she is not what matters. We are what matters, and our vision for the country is what matters. Thank you.
All right. I'm from Washington State, the Pacific Northwest, so I would love to introduce somebody else from the Pacific Northwest, Senator Merkley.
Okay, I need you all to help me out a little bit here. Do we want government buying for the powerful or buying for the people?
The people!
For the powerful or the people?
The people!
The powerful or the people?
The people!
Okay, good, I'm in the right place. But at this moment, this is the question that confronts our country. Because what we have in the process going on in the building behind us, in the Senate, is all about destroying the vision, the we the people vision of our Constitution. Now, I happen to really like the we the people vision of our Constitution. Do you like it? Yeah. Do we like the Senate Republicans deciding to roll right over the top of it and corrupt the court for the powerful?
No!
Hell no. So that's why we're out here talking today. And that's why we're taking every single action we can, because we are trying to set the stage for a potential outbreak of integrity. Wouldn't that be incredible? We have a whole group of 53 senators. Almost all of them were here 4 years ago. And they said this, they said, we believe that we should listen to the people of the United States during an election year before there's a debate or a vote on a nominee. Remember that? They said it was an issue of deep principle. They said that they would stand by that principle in any given year. Well, what are they doing today? They're violating that principle straight out. They're saying, we don't want to listen to the people. We want to, in fact, hold the vote before the election so that the people cannot have an impact on our country and the preservation of the vision of equal justice under law. Now, if we look at the Supreme Court right behind us, and you look over the portal, you'll see those words carved in there, equal justice under law. How about that we actually fight day and night for equal justice under law? Are you ready to fight?
Yeah!
So that fight's going to continue because maybe, just maybe, with thousands of Americans calling their Republican legislators, their Republican senators, maybe a few of them will say, you know what? I'm going to stand by the principle that I laid out 4 years ago, and I'm not going to vote to move this nomination forward, and we're going to wait and see what the people say on November 3rd. Are we willing to fight for that?
Yeah!
So I want to tell you what. I'm hoping that outbreak of integrity happens, but we know that right now we need kind of a lightning strike moment on some group of senators for it to occur. So that's why I'm wearing this, a mask that says what?
Vote!
Vote. Because if the court is corrupted, it makes the November 3rd election all that much more important. It means that we need a House and a Senate and an Oval Office dedicated to the vision of equal justice under the law. It means we need a House and a Senate and Oval Office dedicated to the vision of government of, by, and for the people. Yes? So, think about this like a ball game. First base is that group of majority, the grassroots America, taking over, everybody voting. We win that vision on November 3rd, but that's just like first base. Second base, we have to unrig the Senate. Priorities by the Republicans take 51 votes. Priorities for the people that Democrats put forward take 60 votes. They're subject to the McConnell veto. Should we strike down the McConnell veto? Be ready to fight for that. Because if we do that, we can then pass the For the People Act that takes on gerrymandering, voter suppression, and dark money. We can end the corruption of future elections by passing the For the People Act. Let's fight for that. And then between January and July, let's pass massive reforms on health care, on housing, on education, on living wage jobs, on infrastructure, on the DREAM Act, on the Equality Act, so our LGBT community no longer has doors slammed in their face across America, full opportunity for all. And let's take on climate chaos. And then with those future elections that are unrigged, let's retake and restore a court system in America that fights for the vision of our Constitution instead of riding over the top of it. Thank you for being here in the fight. We have to mobilize, we have to fight in such a determined fashion because we are on the brink of unending government by and for the powerful. We have a chance to turn that around. We have to do that. We have to do it this November 3rd. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you. Buenas tardes. I can hear you. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Gustavo Torres, and I am the Executive Director of CASA, and today I'm representing CPD. Look at this. $3 million signatures have been delivered. 3 million. To communicate very clearly that this is not our priority. We have, and the American people have a different priorities. I can't believe that we are speaking about ACB right now, in the middle of a pandemic. I can't believe that we are speaking about confirmation of somebody who don't support the dreamers, who are going to accept the separation of our families and confirm the separation of our families. I can't believe that we are speaking about that today when we have 220,000 people dead because of the pandemic, when we have almost 9 million people who have been impacted and infected by this virus. I can't believe that we are speaking about that today. I can't believe that the Republican senators are not speaking about a package to resolve this crisis. 12 days before the elections, 40 million people already spoke out. And we are going to confront somebody who doesn't support women's right to choose? I can't believe that. Totally unacceptable. Today, I am here to let you know that we are going to fight back. That we are going to win these elections to make sure that we legislate and change some policies that is impacting our families and our communities. I want to say thanks to the Judiciary Committee people from the Democratic Party who boycott the confirmation today. Thank you. And I am calling right now all of the senators to do the same thing. Right there in the floor in the Senate. We really do. We have to send a very strong message. Because you know what? People every single day are resisting with courage. They are fighting back. And we need to do the same thing. So today, on behalf of CPD, Casa in Action, and the Latino and immigrant community, we say we stand together. We stand together to make sure that we are going to win these elections. Thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias. ¿Se puede? I can hear you. ¿Se puede? One more time. ¿Se puede? Thank you very much. Oh, Senator Whitehouse, where are you? Right here. Please join us. One of the extraordinary champions also. He's going to speak about that and why they make a decision that way make. Senator, thank you so much. Give me your phone. There you go.
So thank you all for being here, both those who are here on the Capitol lawn and those who are watching us over the internet. One of the nice things about small COVID-sized rallies is that we have a chance to talk to each other like people and discuss what's going on. And what I would like to say is that it is very abnormal and very wrong when for three straight nominations now, big special interests have been able to buy anonymously a seat at the table where Supreme Court justices are selected. It happened to be the Federalist Society. I don't care if it's the Girl Scouts. When the president says, I'm handing over my selection process to a private organization, and that organization then takes huge anonymous donations, that is a bad thing. And when $15 million, $17 million checks are written by anonymous donors to support the political campaign for those nominees, that is a bad thing. And when Republicans, who are very likely the beneficiaries of political donations from those same big special interests, are breaking every rule, every norm, every practice, including ones they set up themselves in the Senate to push those nominees through, that is a sign that something has gone very, very wrong. It isn't just Judge Barrett. Each of these problems has been the case in the last three nominees. Garland for Gorsuch, Kavanaugh through his troubled nomination, and now Barrett. 3 times, big special interests anonymously paying to get at the table, big special interests anonymously paying for the campaigns, and Republicans rolling over and breaking the rules of the Senate to get the job done for the big special interests. I feel and share the outrage that so many of you feel about what is happening to Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat. But I'm here to tell you that outrage is not enough. Persistence is going to matter. Investigation is going to matter. Getting to the bottom of what actually has been taking place here is going to matter. So please bear with us, support us as we do the work of finding out what went wrong, who is behind it, and what it means for our court and for our future. Thank you very, very much.
Let's hear it for Senator Whitehouse. Thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership.
I'm Ronna Epting. I'm the executive director of Move On. We are millions members strong, 15 million members all over this country. And we are just regular folks who take action every day in our communities to make this world the place that we know it can be, a place where all of us can thrive, where all of us are welcome, where all of us are part of this democracy. I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm going to make this short and sweet because I want to introduce Senator Schumer. Senator Schumer has tirelessly led the fight to oppose this nomination and stand up to this outrageous, shameful, and dangerous power grab by Republicans. He is a man who's fought alongside us to protect the Affordable Care Act and our rights and freedoms. And he's led through the complexities of leading a minority in the Senate under the Trump administration. So I'm very grateful for his leadership. I'm grateful he's with us here today. And I want to invite the senator to come say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. We are fighting the fight. We must. And let me just tell you what this means in personal terms. So we were having our Rosh Hashanah, our Jewish New Year's dinner, when we heard that Ruth Bader Ginsburg had died. My daughter was sitting next to her wife, and they were wondering if their right to marriage might be taken away or curtailed. My older daughter, who has a 20-month-old son, my grandson, she's a big climate person, was worried that her son, 20 months, would never see the beauty of the globe that we were able to see. My wife remembered the days before Roe, when women didn't control their own bodies and had to do terrible things, forced by a male-dominated society and male-dominated laws. And my mother, who is 92 and has Parkinson's, wondered if her health care would be taken away. In one little moment, it was so clear what this nomination means. What this nomination means. It means that people's health care could be ripped from them. It means that 130 million Americans with pre-existing conditions would be at the mercy of insurance companies. A mother, a father who had a son or a daughter who had cancer could be told by any insurance company, we're not taking you, and they'd have to watch their child suffer with no real health insurance and no hope for a cure. This is just an awful nomination. The hard right, as Sheldon Whitehouse has so ably documented, the hard right in America, they know they could never get their right-wing agenda through a legislative body. And so they have endeavored to control the courts, an unelected body, to move the clock back 100 years. They don't want to pay any taxes. They don't want to see government do good things for people, like health care. They've made an alliance with those who don't believe in the freedom of women to choose, who don't believe in the freedom of people to marry, and they are trying to push this agenda through in the most partisan, obnoxious, illicit hearing and process that we have seen. The hypocrisy of Mitch McConnell and the Republicans is towering. When Merrick Garland came forward, it was 8 months before an election. They said, no, let's wait. Now we have a vacancy. While an election is ongoing, they say, let's rush it through. Because they know they can only achieve that horrible right-wing agenda through the courts. So we will fight this with every tool we have. McConnell has defiled the Senate. The number of tools in the toolbox are fewer. The sharpness is fewer as well. But every opportunity we have, we will do whatever we can to stop this nomination. Today, the Judiciary Committee members boycotted the illicit markup. It was a great move. The rules of the Judiciary Committee say you need 2 Democrats to report someone out. But Lindsey Graham steamrolled through the rules, didn't even pay attention, just as McConnell has steamrolled through every rule, decency, value, and honor. He has so defiled the Senate, it will never, it was low enough before he started, but it's even lower now. So we will fight this fight. We will fight it here in the Congress, and we will fight it at the ballot box on November 3rd and kick Trump out, kick McConnell out, take back the country, and move forward in every way we can. Thank you for fighting the fight. We will win.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. Thank you for everyone that's joined us this afternoon. I have the honor of introducing our next senator from my home state of Maryland, Senator Van Hollen, who will be with us here to say a few words about the fight in the Senate that he's been leading.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Schumer.
I want to thank all of you who are gathered here, and I know because of social distancing, we also have lots of people tuning in from around the country at this critical moment, this moment of reckoning for our country. As we gather here, we are mourning the death of over 220,000 of our fellow Americans, the highest death toll from COVID-19 in the entire world. And it didn't have to be this way. This is the consequence of a President Trump, who knew how severe and dangerous this coronavirus is, but decided to ignore it, to pretend it would just go away, that it would miraculously disappear, and told people to do things like drink bleach. And as a result of that, we have thousands of Americans who were dead who didn't have to be. It's simple. He lied to the country, and as a result, thousands of people have died. And now at this moment, instead of rallying the country together to pass emergency relief for the people who are hurting from COVID-19 and all the economic pain that has been caused, unnecessary economic pain from Trump's gross negligence and active indifference, instead of focusing on the HEROES Act, which Speaker Pelosi and the House have passed twice now, instead of that, we have Mitch McConnell and Republican senators and the Trump administration trying to illegitimately jam through a Supreme Court nominee to try to pack the court with ideological right-wingers so that they can enact through the courts the agenda that they were unsuccessful in enacting through the democratic process here in the United States Congress. And we all know that what's first up on their agenda is dismantling the Affordable Care Act. That case will be heard right across the street here 1 week after the election. And we know that Judge Barrett is a torpedo aimed at the Affordable Care Act. We know that for two reasons. One, Donald Trump said he was going to appoint someone to the Supreme Court who was going to destroy the Affordable Care Act, who was going to undo the work of what he called Justice Roberts' wrong decision. And we also know that because of Amy Coney Barrett's own writings that show that she was critical of that decision by the Supreme Court. So you've got Republican attorney generals backed by Trump and Attorney General Barr who have been working very hard through the courts to try to destroy the Affordable Care Act. And the consequences are going to be terrible for the American people, because you've got over 130 million Americans who are protected by the pre-existing condition protections in the Affordable Care Act. 30 million Americans who are directly benefiting from the Affordable Care Act. Millions and millions of seniors who benefit from closing the prescription drug donut hole. And here we are in the middle of a pandemic where over 8 million Americans have contracted COVID-19, which is also a pre-existing condition. And instead of focusing on relief, you have Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump focusing on destroying the Affordable Care Act and those protections. So we're here to fight to the bitter end to stop this miscarriage of justice. They have obviously changed the rules of the game from the ones they applied to President Obama, and now, closer to an election than any other time in American history, They're trying to jam through this court nominee to strike down the Affordable Care Act, and that's just the beginning. They also want Judge Barrett to strike down a woman's right to choose under Roe v. Wade. And we need to make sure that doesn't happen. I remember when I first got into Maryland politics in 1990, we were worried about the court then striking down Roe v. Wade. And we barely averted that at that time. Now we've got another effort to do through the court something that is opposed by the American people. So I will just close with this. I know the hour is late to stop this, but I will just remind all of us that I will just remind all of us, I'll remind all of us that what we did with the Affordable Care Act was we saved it in the end by one vote in the United States Senate. And so nothing is over until it's over. We will leave no stone unturned, but we're calling upon the American people to call their senators right at the last minute, say, don't take away my health care protections, don't take away my right to choose, don't stack and pack the court with someone who's going to take away workers' rights and be a tool for big corporations. Do the right thing, and we will hold you accountable. We will hold you accountable at the ballot box. We'll hold you accountable for your vote at this moment in American history. Thank all of you for being here. Let's make sure that we fight to the very end, and importantly, that we hold everybody accountable for their decisions that will do great harm to the American people if they don't turn around and vote the right way. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Senator Van Hollen. We really appreciate that, y'all. We have people that are fighting for us on the inside, and we know that these issues are impactful for all of us, right? 220,000 people. That's how many people have died because of this pandemic that we're in and the president's negligence in not protecting us. 8 million people. That's how many people this virus has affected in this country due to these people, due to our president not protecting us, right? So we need people in there fighting for us. We need to have COVID relief, but instead we have a rushed nomination. A rushed nomination that will ensure that our rights are being taken away. But we need to hear from the people that this will affect, right? So it is my absolute honor to introduce to you the people, right? So Brittany House is our patient advocate from Planned Parenthood Action Funds, and I am so glad to introduce her to talk to you about her story.
Good afternoon. My name is Brittany House, and I live here in Washington, D.C. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, in a two-parent Baptist household and attended a single-sex Catholic school. Between my family and education, I learned the values of family planning, femininity, financial stability, and abstinence. Due to my upbringing and education, I always knew what I would do if I had an unwanted pregnancy. When I found out I was 2.5 months pregnant in 2012, I made the decision to have an abortion. 3.5 months prior, I had just graduated from Howard University, started working for a government agency, moved into an apartment with 3 roommates, and I was with a partner with whom I didn't see a loving future. I went to Planned Parenthood at 16th Street. That day, I left Planned Parenthood with a prescription for antibiotics to complete my medicinal abortion, a prescription for NuvaRing birth control, and sound medical school advice. I also left Planned Parenthood that day with my choice respected. Because I was in DC, I wasn't forced by state or local government to wait 24, 48, or 72 hours to make a decision I had already known. I didn't have to undergo a medical unnecessary ultrasound, and I didn't have to drive hours, miles, or states away to receive the care that I needed. It should be that simple for everyone. Safe legal access to abortion is a right, no matter who you are, where you live, or how much money you make. I made the best decision for me. I received the care that I needed, and I'm living the life that I want. Today, I stand before you as a master's in public health candidate, a future doctor, and I'm in a loving relationship with a partner with whom I see a future. Again, I wouldn't have any of those things if it weren't for safe legal access to abortion. I am so grateful for Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg for standing up for women like me. She was instrumental in ensuring that women like me could access abortion safely and legally. I want to extend my deepest condolences to her family, and I also want to thank her for holding on for us. However, access to sexual and reproductive health is holding on by a string. We should not have to depend on one woman to hold access to this care on her back. I am fed up and I am tired. I am fed up because Republicans are constantly contradicting themselves. They delayed Merrick Garland's nomination for over a year due to an upcoming election, and now, less than 2 weeks before another presidential election, they are rushing to fill Justice Ginsburg's vacancy. I am tired because yet again, my access to health care is being politicized. During a pandemic, I have to worry about contracting COVID-19, being Black, and now being a woman. My intersections should not and will not be marginalized, infringed upon, or up for debate. And being a Black woman, to me, is not up for debate. With the outcome of Breonna Taylor's case and throughout history, we have seen that the Black woman is the most disrespected in the world. We cannot gamble our lives because of a Supreme Court nomination being rushed through. My livelihood and my autonomy should not and does not depend on the white men in the Oval Office or the Senate rushing to push this confirmation through. This is why we must urge our senators and let them know that we will not stand for this. They must wait to push this confirmation through until after Inauguration Day in January. Right now, it is time to get information. We must let our voices be heard and call our senators and let them know we will not stand for this. Let's mobilize. Thank you.
Okay, next up is someone who needs no introduction, but if I were to give her the 5-second one, her picture appears in the dictionary when you look up the term principled fighter, someone who has been with us and always with us since the beginning of this sham process, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from the great state of New York.
Thank you. Thank you, Elise, for your fearless leadership and your determination to be heard and to never give up. It makes a difference. I'm so grateful to be here. Seeing so many people who care so deeply gives me hope. You're here because you know what's at stake. Because you know the future of this court and the future of this country are one in the same. Because you know that your voice and that your government should be listening to you. Right now, too many members of Congress, particularly the Republican members of Congress, are not listening to the American people. They are not listening to the 8 million Americans who have fallen into poverty because of this pandemic. Or the parents who are in lines for food banks because they cannot feed their children. Or the small business owners who are having to shutter their doors, never to reopen again. They're not listening to the majority of Americans who've made it clear they would like the next president to fill this seat. They are not listening because they know this is their last chance to impose their extreme conservative views on the entire country. So instead of listening to what you want, they're rushing to confirm a Supreme Court justice who is wildly out of step with the American people.
You're letting it happen!
These are the same senators who denied Merrick Garland hearings, because his nomination was supposedly too close to an election. That was in March. We are now in October. It is soon going to be November. But that doesn't seem too close to an election for Mitch McConnell. The hypocrisy is stunning. I am mobilizing you and every American to speak out because that's the power of our voice. Our voice is our power. Our voice is our power, and we know why they're rushing, because they know this election is looming, and they will lose their majority in the Senate, and they will lose their ability to impose their will on the entire American people. They want to seat Judge Barrett now so that she can rule on a case in November that will take away access for 129 million Americans who do not have access to health care if they take away the Affordable Care Act. 129 million Americans who have pre-existing conditions. How many family members and loved ones do you know who has a pre-existing condition? How many people contracted COVID and now have a pre-existing condition? It is a life and death issue for millions of Americans. One such New Yorker, Ali Murata, she has type 1 diabetes. Imagine if she cannot get access to the insulin that keeps her alive. Imagine that she cannot get access to the health care that she needs. Imagine if she made too much to qualify for Medicaid. She knows what it feels like. She was uninsured from December to March and had to ration her insulin, putting her life at risk. It was only when the pandemic started and she lost all of her income that she was able to qualify for Medicaid, the essential plan in New York's marketplace that allowed her to access that life-sustaining medication. If the ACA is repealed, Allie will lose her coverage. She's not alone. I have a friend named Kyle who lives with Down syndrome, and his dad, Bill, has been looking after him. But he too has multiple pre-existing conditions. Bill works part-time to help Kyle, who needs 24/7 care. They're worried about the cuts to Medicaid, which could affect Kyle's entire life. Right now, he has job coaching, so he can actually go and work in a pizza parlor and not only earn a wage, but bring joy to all his coworkers who love seeing Kyle at work. If we repeal the ACA because of Judge Barrett, then that would not be available to Kyle. Rushing to seat this nominee means rushing to put Allie's life and Kyle's life and millions of Americans' lives in danger, and it furthers their extreme conservative agenda. And it is extreme. Their agenda is to seat a nominee who, quote, called Roe v. Wade barbaric, when nearly 8 in 10 Americans believe that it is a fundamental human and civil right for women to make decisions about their bodies, to decide when they're having children, how many children they're having, under what circumstances they are having children. And that requires access to abortion services for those who need it. A nominee who referred to sexual orientation as a preference.
So did Joe Biden.
A nominee who is using today outdated but truly harmful when 2 in 3 Americans believe in marriage equality. A nominee who refused to admit climate change is settled science and not a controversial issue, when 99% of all scientists and 81% of Americans agree that humans are drivers of global warming. Where is the common sense? The American people believe in access to reproductive care, in equal rights for our LGBT community, and we believe in science. And those that believe that this seat should be filled by a justice who doesn't share those views, it is unconscionable. The next justice should be appointed by the next president and confirmed by the next Senate. This is the wrong judge for this seat, and it's the wrong process for a lifetime appointment. It's hypocritical, dangerous, and it is not what the American people want. Your rights hang in the balance. Your voices should not be silenced. I will not participate in this rushed
sham. I will not support confirming this judge who is so clearly unfit for the Supreme Court.
Okay, we have to vote now. Don't worry about it. I'd like to call out Biden for his Me Too assault. Who's the real hypocrite, Senator Gillibrand? Have a nice day.
Hi, I'm Elise Hogue. I am the president of NARAL Pro-Choice America, and I am so thrilled to see all of you here, but I know thousands and thousands and more of you are watching this on the live stream. And I want to acknowledge that we have a fantastic member named Toby here who knitted me this wonderful RBG color. And I wear it as a representation, not of just the person that we are fighting for in this moment, but the ideals that she lifted up. Absolutely for abortion rights, absolutely for reproductive freedom. But the reason that she fought for abortion rights and gender justice was for equity, was for everybody to be in control of their own destiny, to have the freedom to drive this country in a more progressive way. That is the ethic and the principle of Ruth Bader Ginsburg that we have got to embrace and channel in this moment. You know, we stood out here the night after she passed on the steps of the Supreme Court, and at that time we said, let her memory be a revolution. And let us be clear, the actions of the GOP Senate are about control, are about minority control. They are about absolutely halting the progress of decades of fighting for civil rights, LGBTQ rights, gender rights, reproductive rights, voting rights, all of those things. But they are about maintaining minority control in a changing world. And they said as much during the hearings. And so when I think about what it means to make Ruth Bader Ginsburg's memory a revolution, it is to tell those senators who would rush this confirmation to enact minority control, to do an agenda that this illegitimate president wants, that they cannot achieve politically or legislatively. They cannot do it through democratic means, that we will not be cowed. We will not go away. We will keep showing up, because there is nothing more revolutionary than a collective of people making themselves heard in the name of freedom and justice. And they may think they have the votes today. They may think that they have the votes when it comes to a floor vote, but they do not have the votes on November 3rd. And this fight does not end on November 3rd. It starts on November 3rd, because that is the day we funnel this power that we have collectively shown through Gorsuch, through Kavanaugh, and now through a nominee so extreme, this is real, she refused to answer whether abortion should be punished by the death penalty. That is real, right? So extreme. That is not the future of this country. We are the future of this country all together. And we will vote in numbers never seen before on November 3rd. We will make them pay a political price. And on that day, we will start to grasp the promise of democracy that we know this country holds for everybody. So thank you very much on behalf of our 2.5 million members. And Sasha? And next, I am followed by one of my favorite people in the world, someone who is known to be a principled fighter and a friend for women and family and all Americans, the unbelievable Senator Elizabeth Warren from the great state of Massachusetts.
Thank you. All right. You bet. So thank you, Elise. Thank all of you for being here today. Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham have moved a Supreme Court nominee forward. And to do that, they had to break their own rules. You know, that's what it shows us. Republican senators are cheaters. Yeah. They make up rules, and then when it suits them, they break the same rules. That's right. Now, why break the rules to get here? Why is stealing this seat so important? Because Donald Trump and Republican senators are trying to impose an extreme right-wing agenda on the American people, an agenda that does not reflect the majority of the people in this country. Mitch McConnell may have the votes to steal this seat. He may have enough Republican senators who are willing to cheat. But because he can get enough Republican votes to steal this seat, Mitch McConnell thinks that he has won this fight to impose an extremist right-wing agenda on an unwilling America. Mitch McConnell is wrong. We will fight on. We will fight on. We will fight on. We will fight now. We will fight on Election Day. And we will fight in Congress when the new Congress comes in. We will fight because we know what is at stake. When the extremists try to take away health care from millions of people, we will pass new laws. We will fight on. When the extremists try to take away Roe versus Wade, we will pass new laws. We will fight on. When the extremists try to cripple unions and undercut working people, we will pass new laws. We will fight on. When extremists place corporate profits over the survival of our planet, we will pass new laws. We will fight on. When the extremists try to take away protection for our dreamers and their families, we will pass new laws. We will fight on. And when the extremists try to ignore the impact of systemic racism and voter suppression, we will pass new laws. We will fight on. Mitch McConnell and every Republican senator should hear us loud and clear. The American people do not want an extremist takeover of our government. All across this nation, between now and November 3rd, we will vote and we will hold these Republicans accountable. All across this nation, we will fight on. It is an honor to be in this fight with you.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Thank you. Yep. Thank you, Senator Warren. Again, hello, I'm Rana. I'm the head of Move On. We're a community of millions of activists, millions of people all throughout this country, and we fight every day to make this country, to build this country better, and to make it into a country where all of us can thrive. We take care of one another. We welcome one another. We have an inclusive democracy that's responsive to the people. And that's actually the issue that we're talking about here today. You know, I was driving over here this morning, listening to the Senate Republicans in the Judiciary Committee just completely diminish and mischaracterize what we, all of us here today, what we're about. They were calling us radical Democrats with a radical agenda. And my thought, as I heard this, was what is so radical about needing and believing people should have health care? What is so radical? Everyone loves Senator Warren, don't they? What is so radical about believing and honoring the lives of LGBTQ people who just want to live in dignity and love in dignity and live their lives? What is so radical about me believing, or any of you believing, that we should have the right to control our own bodies and what happens to us and make our own decisions, and government should not be in the middle of that? That is not radical, that is logical. And when we get upset up here, it's because we are astonished, we're angered that people would even have the gall to refuse us the right to take care of ourselves, our families, our friends, and to live in dignity. That's what we are about. 44 million Americans have already cast their ballot. We are in the midst of a national election for president, Senate, U.S. House, and all up and down at the state level. As we stand here, thousands are in line to vote. They're going to spend hours, potentially all day, in line to exercise this franchise. The election is now. It's today, it's tomorrow, it's even next week when this Senate votes on the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett. This is no time to be jamming through a GOP power grab for the Supreme Court. And America knows it, sir. Mitch McConnell knows it. The Republicans know it, but you know what? They do not care. They know the U.S. Senate ought to be legislating and passing much-needed coronavirus relief in this crisis. They know they're denying all Americans a say in who the next justice would be. They know they're overthrowing the will of the people when the majority of Americans have said they don't believe we should be confirming a Supreme Court justice in the midst of a national election. They know they're circumventing the norms. They're lying about the history of the Supreme Court and the fact that they've been packing the courts for years. They know this, but let's be clear, they don't care. You know what they care about? They care about holding on to power. They see their power slipping out of their hands as millions of Americans are finally seeing them for what they are. And they're going to the ballot box and they're voting against Republicans. Their last desperate attempts to hold on to power is to pack the Supreme Court with their ideologues. Through the Supreme Court, they want to cement in place the worst policies of Donald Trump. They want to take away health care from 20 million Americans. They want to take away our right to choose and control what happens to our own bodies. They want to strip away the rights of LGBTQ Americans in this country. They want to decimate voting rights, the right to vote, our one individual right to exercise our voice in this democracy. They want to strip that away. And they want to do it because they know their time is coming. Amy Coney Barrett is their dream ticket to getting their dirty work done. The work that the vast majority of America disagrees with, we don't want to see happen, and we know will take our society backwards. They can't win these debates on their own. They can't win these debates in the halls of Congress, so they pack the courts in unprecedented ways to force their vision of a warped America for all of us. And we have one message for those Republicans. One message for the Republicans who are packing the courts. One message for the Republicans who are orchestrating this power grab. Our message: if you want to commit political suicide, be my guest. We will see you at the ballot box. Thank you, everyone, for all your fight that you're putting into this. The most important thing we can do right now is go to the polls, make our voices heard, vote for a landslide win in 2020. And with that, I want to introduce one of my favorite senators in the U.S. Senate, a man who has fought for everyday people since the beginning of his career with all of his heart and soul, and represents all of us with such integrity and grace. I'm so honored to introduce Senator Bernie Sanders.
Welcome, Bernie. You should be the nominee.
Well, thank you all very much for exposing the illegitimacy of the entire process designed to ram Judge Barrett through as the next Supreme Court Justice. Thank you all very much on behalf of many millions of Americans. Now, I don't have to tell you that it is wrong to push a nominee through in the last weeks and months of a president's term. I don't have to tell you that, because the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham, good Republican, has already told you that. As Lindsey Graham said in opposing President Obama's nominee, Merrick Garland, in 2016, quote, "I want you to use my words against me. If there is a Republican president in 2016 and a vacancy occurs in the last year of the first term, you can say Lindsey Graham said, quote, let the next president, whoever it might be, make that decision. Well, you know what? I don't often agree with Lindsey Graham. But on this one, he's right. So I say, let the next president, and I have great confidence that that next president will not be Donald Trump. Let that next president, whoever it might be, and I suspect it'll be Joe Biden, make that nomination. Now, I again don't have to tell you why this seat on the Supreme Court is so important, but let me just give you a few examples. All across this country, in an incredibly shameful way that goes beyond issues, that goes beyond politics, the Republican Party is engaging in massive voter suppression. They are doing everything that they can to keep young people, poor people, people of color from participating in the political process. And that is an outrage beyond belief. Just this week, just a few days ago, as some of you may know, the Supreme Court, by deadlocking in a 4-4 tie, allowed Pennsylvania to continue counting mail-in ballots until November 6th. A rather common sense decision. Every vote must be counted, not a radical idea. That's what democracy is supposed to be about. That decision was rendered by a 4-4 vote. I have very little doubt that if Judge Barrett becomes a member of the Supreme Court, she will side with the right-wing majority and vote against voting rights in the United States of America. But it's not just voting rights that we're talking about. We're talking about fundamental issues that impact tens of millions of people, like Social Security and Medicare. When she was questioned by the committee, Judiciary Committee, and asked whether she thought that Social Security and Medicare were constitutional, she could not give a clear answer. Can you imagine when you have a program like Social Security that has been on the books for over 80 years, that tens of millions of people depend upon in order to stay alive, to have any kind of dignity when they get old and when they're disabled? She is not quite clear whether Social Security is constitutional, whether Medicare is constitutional. I have very little doubt, hope I'm wrong, but I have very little doubt that if Judge Barrett sits on the Supreme Court, and when that case comes before the Supreme Court as to the constitutionality of the Affordable Care Act, I suspect she will be on the wrong side of that decision, putting in danger the health care of over 20 million Americans. I have very deep concerns that if Judge Barrett is on the Supreme Court, she will be voting with a majority to overturn a woman's right to control her own body in terms of Roe v. Wade. Now, I happen to believe that it is a woman and not the government who has a right to control her own body, but I don't believe that that is what Judge Barrett believes. And on it goes. So we are assembled here today to tell Lindsey Graham, to tell the Republican majority, remember what you said when Obama was president, that it is wrong for a nomination to be pushed through in the last months of a president's term. By the time that nomination is going to be voted on in the Senate, tens and tens of millions of people will have voted for a new president. And those people have a right to allow that new president to decide and to nominate who the next Supreme Court nominee will be. Thank you all. Keep up the great work.
You should be president, Bernie, not Joe. You should be the nominee.
How about a round of applause for Senator Bernie Sanders? Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. My name is David Broder. I'm proud to serve as the president of SEIU Virginia 512. And on behalf of our 2 million SEIU essential workers across the country, I'm here to say no to Amy Coney Barrett. The American public needs to decide who will replace the extraordinary Justice Ginsburg. People are already voting, and we are seeing record numbers of working people, black and brown, white and API, go to the polls and vote because they know that their vote is essential. In my home state of Virginia, 1.5 million people have already cast their ballots. They deserve to be heard. Now let's be honest. Republicans have been trying to rig the courts against working people, against women, against immigrants, against black and brown communities for years. This is nothing new. Judge Barrett would simply further turn the Supreme Court into a weapon against working people, to turn the Supreme Court into a venue only for the powerful and for the wealthy. Instead of starting yet another fight to divide us, Republican senators should be doing their jobs to protect the health and safety of Americans. They should get to work and pass a COVID relief package that ensures that every essential worker has PPE, paid sick days, and hazard pay. Make no mistake, sisters and brothers, that healthcare is on the line in this nomination fight. Healthcare is on the line in this election. On November 10th, the Supreme Court will hear a case, the president's latest attempt to rip away healthcare from millions of Americans in the middle of a pandemic. Does he have no shame? Do Republican senators have any shame left? Over 600,000 Virginians would lose coverage. 38,000 children in Virginia would lose coverage. 3.5 million Virginians with a pre-existing condition would have their coverage threatened. Those are hard numbers to wrap our brains around. So I want to talk about I want to talk about my wife, who has a pre-existing condition. I will never forget the day, nearly 3 years ago to this day, that my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It was a horrific day. We didn't know if our 2 daughters would grow up to know their mother. But we are the lucky ones because we have good health care. And so 3 years later, after rounds of surgery and chemo and radiation, she is cancer-free. And she's stronger than ever. In fact, right now, while I'm just talking, she's leading a phone bank of union members who are getting out the vote for November 3rd. And so for my wife, for the millions of hardworking Americans whose health care and whose very lives hang in the balance, we refuse to go back. That's why SEIU members, union members, working people, working folks in the Fight for 15 and a union will continue to make it crystal clear to every Republican senator. If you go forward with this nomination, this illegal nomination, we will hold you accountable at the ballot box. Thank you, sisters and brothers.
Welcome. Hello, sir. Excuse me. I have something to say. I have a question for you. I have a question for you. I want to talk about foreign policy. Why do you want to talk to me?
Hello, friends. I'm Nan Aaron, president of Alliance for Justice, an association of over 130 public interest civil rights organizations. I want to take us back to February 2016. It was a really cold day. we got word that Justice Scalia had died. The very next day, Mitch McConnell goes down to the well of the Senate. And what does Mitch McConnell say? He says, you know what? It's an election year. We can't confirm a justice to fill Antonin Scalia's seat. And Barack Obama thinks, well, this is what presidents do. And as we all know, he nominates Merrick Garland. And Republicans say, no, it is too close to the election. President Obama is out the door. Well, excuse me? September 18th of this year, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies, and the Republicans proceed, as we all know, even though, as we hope, Donald Trump will be out the door in a few months, in a month. But nevertheless, what does Donald Trump do when he comes into office? He says, you know, I've campaigned on judges, and at every campaign stop Trump attends, he says to the crowd, how many of you out there like me? And people raise their hands. And then he says, how many of you don't like me? A couple people raise their hand, and he says, you know what? It doesn't matter. What's important is the Supreme Court. And we know that since he's been in office, over 200 judges have been confirmed to the lower courts. Over 200. And who were his Supreme Court justices? Well, the first one was Neil Gorsuch. Neil Gorsuch, we learned at his hearing, would have forced a truck driver who was passing through Illinois in the dead of winter, sub-zero temperatures. His truck broke down. Neil Gorsuch would have allowed that trucker to freeze to death. That's Neil Gorsuch. Go check it out, the frozen trucker story. Then we had Brett Kavanaugh. Well, we all know Brett Kavanaugh. We certainly know Brett Kavanaugh from women's rights point of view, but just look at the regulations, environmental, consumer, civil rights, privacy, regulations that he overturned as a circuit court judge. And now we have Amy Coney Barrett. Well, her record on the Seventh Circuit speaks volumes of what she will do on the Supreme Court. She has voted against asylum seekers? Check. She has voted against immigrants? Check. She has voted against gun safety legislation? Check. She has voted against blacks and Latinos? Check. She has voted against health care and has certainly been on record pledging to overturn Roe versus Wade. That is Amy Coney Barrett, and yet at her hearing, what does she do? She invokes the old Republican playbook. Say as little as possible. Appear as a blank slate. Do nothing. Say nothing. But we are not fooled. We know who Amy Coney Barrett is, and more importantly, what she will do on the Supreme Court. You know, there was a time when it would have been shameful and embarrassing for presidents to appoint judges using litmus tests. Now, with this president, it's a point of pride and marks the successful politicization of the Supreme Court to serve as a tool of the Republican Party as opposed to serve for all Americans. So I say to my friends out here, are we going to go away?
No.
Are we going to turn out again and again and again? Will we expect our elected leaders to turn out again and again?
Confirm Amy!
We will never give in, and we will never give up.
They have a permit to be here. We need you to move to another area. Ma'am, come on over here.
I'm going around.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you so much for speaking truth to power. Absolutely hear that. It is my honor to also introduce another patient advocate, Caroline Corvette, to the stage. Thank you so much, Toddy.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline, and I'm so lucky to live here in Washington, D.C. When I heard the news of Justice Ginsburg's passing, I was stunned into shock for hours and hours, and I cried. A woman who deserved to pass muster was not able to. She knew that she held the lives of every woman on her shoulders, and it showed how broken our system is. LGBTQ people, people with pre-existing conditions, people living with disabilities, survivors of sexual assault, people who vote and people who want to vote, were all put into jeopardy on that night. She helped uphold the rights of me and so many others. My senior year of high school was a tough one. I was in an unhealthy relationship, things weren't good at home, and I felt trapped in North Carolina. The only thing keeping me sane was that I had applied early decision to the perfect college in DC, and I knew deep down that I was going to get in. And then the unthinkable happened. A few weeks after I broke up with my now ex-boyfriend, I missed a period. I felt my stomach drop. If I was pregnant, there was no way I could afford to pay for an abortion and go to college in the fall, shouldering all my own costs of school and living expenses. So I did the only thing that I could think of. I made an appointment at my local Planned Parenthood, and I walked into the health center shaking with anxiety. During that visit, the nurse asked if I was stressed, and she took the time to talk through my situation with me. She gave me the pregnancy test, and she told me to sit tight for the results. I remember holding back tears when the nurse returned with the test results, and she said, "I think you'll be happy about what the test said." I wasn't pregnant, and those were the most comforting words I had heard in a long time. Afterwards, we talked about new birth control options, and I eventually used my Medicaid to get an IUD at no cost at Planned Parenthood. As I left that appointment, I paid only $10 for the whole visit, which was lucky considering I had just $15 in my glove box with $5 left over for gas on the ride home. This meant so much for someone who did not have a stable financial situation or means to afford abortion services or a birth control prescription. Without access to my IUD, I would have run the risk of having an unplanned pregnancy and derailing my entire life. Instead, I graduated from GW last year. I live with my wonderful, loving partner, and I work at my dream job. But now I'm worried, as we all should be. With the nomination of someone as detrimental to reproductive health as one could be, I'm unsure about all of our futures. My little sister just started her first year at college, and I'm always thinking about her and her healthcare options. My advice would be to tell her to go to Planned Parenthood, and I can't imagine a world where I can't tell her that. This is what I'll say to all the senators inside who will be making such a monumental decision. The bottom line is that everybody has to go to the doctor. People need birth control. The majority of people who can get pregnant use birth control. It is disrespectful and frankly anti-science to force people to go without birth control. People like Amy Coney Barrett know the consequences of forcing people to go without this care, and they are dire. This is a humanity issue. We need to remind everyone that this decision is about preserving our rights, it's about preserving our democracy, it's about preserving our ability to see a doctor, to be healthy, and to decide when we want to start a family. Thank you so much.
My name is Shaquille Carbon. I am a black man in America. I am a son of Baltimore, a grandson of the Carolinas, and a great-grandson of Sierra Leone in West Africa. I grew up in Baltimore, and I'm here to talk about what this means to Black America, something that is important to me in my core. In 2016, Trump asked Black America, what do we have to lose? Well, I'll tell you, Trump, what we've lost in the last 4 years. We've lost hundreds of thousands of people who have died from COVID-19 due to your inaction and your childish actions. We have lost thousands taken by police violence. We have lost the small businesses that our families have worked so hard to build. We have lost so much in 4 years, and we are done losing. My people are strong. My people are resilient. There is a lot that our communities still have to gain, like living in a world where men do not create legislation about women's bodies, and Black people do not need legislation to protect our bodies. And all of that is at stake in this Supreme Court confirmation. 56 years ago, Black people got the right to vote with the Voting Rights Act. We had to fight for that right on the streets and in the courts. It didn't come easy, and we will not let it be taken away. The GOP understands that the Democratic electoral power is undergirded by the voting power of Black communities. They are trying to rush this confirmation to challenge our sacrosanct right to vote. The Republicans are trying to change the rules of our democracy, like the changes the rules of the Judiciary Committee this morning. They're trying to change the rules because they want not only to diminish the power of our votes before Election Day, but also take away our health care and other rights. They're trying to change the rules of the game as we all participate. This is not fair, it is not right, and we will not let them do it. My community has fought too hard for generations to have the right to vote, because it is only with that right that we can get health care, that we can get a decent education, and that we can have decent jobs, housing, and more. Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation will result in people in Black communities losing their health care in the middle of a global pandemic. Even as systemic oppression makes it more likely for Black men to be afflicted by illnesses like colorectal cancer and more people in my community will die because of this confirmation. So no, I will not sit still while they change the rules, and I ask all the Democratic and Republican senators to protect our communities, to protect our democracy, and to reject this illegitimate Supreme Court justice confirmation. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Manson from Catholics for Choice. Yes, we exist. Catholics believe in abortion rights. It is true. We exist. Now, many people have very prudently avoided Amy Coney Barrett's extreme religious views, but as a Catholic in good conscience, I feel I must name it. I must name it. She is a fulfillment of a very long dream of the bishops in the United States to overturn Roe, to deny people contraception, and ultimately just to control women's fertility. Now, the trouble with that is the majority of Catholics in this country do not agree with the bishops, and they do not agree with Amy Coney Barrett. 68% of Catholics do not want to see Roe overturned. 56% do not believe in abortion rights. 99% have used contraception of Catholics in this country. This organization that she belongs to is an extreme fringe group of Catholics. It's called People of Praise, and it is deeply problematic because it is as extreme an interpretation of Catholic teaching as you can find. And it is not, again, consistent with the vast majority of Catholics in this country and how we feel. One of the signature things that Amy Coney Barrett will try to do is to try to protect religious freedom, this very perverse interpretation of religious freedom. But what does that mean? It means that they want the right to impose their religious beliefs on everyone. That's what religious freedom means to these folks. These groups, like the People of Praise, are just a cover. What they really want is to impose those extreme religious beliefs. This is a very serious situation because if Amy Coney Barrett gets confirmed, she will be one of 6 Catholic justices on the Supreme Court. 5 of those are extremely conservative Catholics. It is disproportionate, and it is, again, not consistent with the belief of the majority of Catholics. Even larger issues like climate change. The Catholic Church believes in climate change. The Pope has written an entire document about it. She would not say whether or not it existed. She's opposed to the Affordable Care Act, or is threatening to destroy it. That's a signature notion. The rights of health care for all people is a fundamental belief of the Catholic social justice teaching. She used the term sexual preference. Even the Catholic Church doesn't use it. And we have a Pope that yesterday supported civil unions, suggesting that there's an interesting separation of church and state that the Pope has in mind, even if extreme Catholics in this country do not. Our faith calls us to follow our conscience in matters of moral decision-making and to respect the religious freedom of all, and that includes allowing people to be free from religious belief. Amy Coney Barrett, her rulings reveal a pattern of siding with powerful people and institutions. Those are not Catholic social justice values at all. So we urge the Senate to protect the fundamental freedoms, religious liberty, and right to reproductive health care of all Americans by rejecting the nomination of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court. Thank you.
Without the votes, it's not extreme. Joe Biden used the term sexual preference in May of 2020. It's a made-up controversy. 52-48, she's going to be confirmed, whether you like it or not.
Shut up.
It's okay. We have the votes. You can tell me whatever you
I'm
want.
Chris Kang from Demand Justice. Thank you. Just want to take a second to take a step back and remind everybody this is not normal and this is not legitimate. Barely 1 month ago, we gathered at the steps of the Supreme Court to mourn an icon, to mourn Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg for what she did as a lawyer, for what she did as a justice, to advance equality for all Americans. And here we are in the fastest confirmation process we've seen in decades, seeing Republicans stealing another Supreme Court seat to ram through their agenda that they can't get done through Congress. Why do Republicans want to rush this through and have a vote in record time? Because they want to strike down the Affordable Care Act. Donald Trump just said in an interview that's coming out on Sunday, he wants the Supreme Court to end the Affordable Care Act. We know why he picked Amy Coney Barrett. We know what she's sent to do, and we know what she's going to do. But it's not just the Affordable Care Act. It's overturning Roe versus Wade. It's stopping Congress from passing common sense gun violence prevention laws, or addressing climate change, or addressing racial justice. It's every single thing that the American people stand for by vast majorities. This ultra-conservative, Republican, right-wing agenda.
All right, guys, this event's getting a little bit repetitive. We're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for joining us. This is Matthew Purdy with Breitbart News. If you enjoyed watching this stream, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Thank you guys for watching, and God bless.
When two